Hello and hello to the welcome to the GCW podcast. Stumbled up over the intro already. We're off to a great start. This is a live podcast, meaning I can't go back and edit anything, covering all things related to the Galactic Civil War LARP event, a sci fi LARP set in a galaxy far, far away. As always, I am your host, Husky, and I am singing, dancing, and rearranging furniture. On tonight's broadcast, we will be debriefing and talking about last week's Veil's Edge and all the amazing things that took place. Joining me tonight is a player turned staff member turned faction leader who you know as Dax Theron. Say hello, Dax.
Hey there, what's going on?
All right, Dax and I are going to spend the evening talking all about our best moments, our silliest mess ups, and our most epic war stories, as well as everything we learned from this past 3 day operation. Do you want to have a say in the topics we cover and the guests we have? Do you want to join in on the special Discord audience to listen in to our pre and post show banter? Do you want to be a part of the conversation, have your voice be heard? Then head on over to Galactic Civil War Patreon, where you can get all those perks and more found at patreon.com/galactic-civil-war. All right, with that out of the way and without further ado, let's get into it. Dax, this was a doozy of an event. I don't know about you, I'm still tired.
It was insane.
It
It
sure
was it
was,
was incredibly. I mean, it was exhausting. It was incredible,
without a
but it
doubt.
was exhausting.
Without a
I don't
doubt.
know if you had seen me at the end there, but I was barely able to speak.
Yeah, there's two pictures I have somewhere. Where it's a picture of me giving the first briefing on Friday morning, like to the rebels in full kit, and then a picture of me giving the last debriefing on Sunday afternoon. And just putting those two things side by side, you can tell that the weekend killed me. I was wiped
Oh,
out.
100%.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean, you looked like a grizzled. You looked like a grizzled commander at the very end. It's a good look. It's not
yeah,
horrible.
war takes its toll on all of us, especially as I'm sure you got a taste of faction leading. So that'll be my
Oh
first
yes,
question for the
yes.
evening. You were Well, I should say both of us were pretty last minute found out we would be faction leading due to real world circumstances, meaning that unfortunately Ben Carver and Van Kyrell would not be joining us. So you and I were
Yeah.
opposing faction leaders for the first time. So why don't you tell me a bit about your experience as a faction leader?
Well, I could tell you it was pretty fun. It was a very eye-opening experience. I will, it is funny because every once in a while I'll see you like at these events. I didn't get to see you a single time because we were just on two opposite sides of the map
Yeah, never
the
once saw
whole
you.
day. No, I'm not surprised. There's actually I don't think I had very much downtime whatsoever during the event. I think I visited a shop maybe twice, and that was like in between moments of walking back to spaceport.
Right.
Um, but no, it was really fun. It was definitely I wouldn't say the word stressful as in like in the negative sense, but it was definitely like it took a toll. I think day like half of day two, I had lost my voice because I had yelled at people for far too long the first few days. Because obviously, as an imperial officer, you gotta yell
I think
like
I I
everything.
think I heard that in your voice when I was talking to you. I was like, he sounds very hoarse when I was talking to you last.
Yeah, I think by Sunday, I was trying to yell troopers, and every time I'd yell troopers, I'd get a voice crack, and I'm like, that breaks the character. Like it doesn't feel great when your officers go, troopers, get over here.
Yeah, that's the one skill they don't tell you that you need to be kind of good in, and that's yelling. Not really
Yeah,
yelling as in
yeah.
yelling at people, but just being loud and being heard and projecting that. That's one thing that I know Colonel Van Kyrell's really good at is projecting that authority without sounding like
Mhm.
he's just screaming his head off. But I definitely know what you mean. Those vocal cords get tired fast. Um, Now I know you don't want to say it, but I'll say it. I think it's stressful. Um, I
It was. I mean,
whew.
it's stressful in a way. Like
Mhm.
I think it's stressful right before the event.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, as soon as you're on the field, it it kind of all just clicks into place because it's like, we're gonna do what we're gonna do, and, like, there's so many things to do, especially for players, and I don't know how it is for the Rebel side, but at least for the Imperials, this event, like, there was actually we were spread thin for a pretty good amount of it. There's very few times where I didn't send a squad to go do something. And even when I sent people on R&R, because I wanted to make sure our Imperials had some time to explore, the other areas of GCW that
Mhm.
isn't just taking over and shooting things. Even then, I was usually having to be like, "Hey, I know I just sent you an R&R, but this squad needs some help. Go back them up. Just
Yeah.
just go help out for a second."
Yeah,
So yeah.
I would agree with that. The stress comes from like, to me, it's the whole drive there. It's getting set up. It's getting everybody into camp. But once like that first briefing is done, missions are sent out. I'm like, okay, I can breathe and relax. These guys, they know what they're doing. And if I do like mess up in quotations because this is a LARP, it's not real. No one's actually getting hurt. So even messing
Mhm.
up is just like, you got to remember everything is failing forward as like, especially as a faction leader. Like if I send guys out on a mission and man, they just get wiped out and
Mhm.
didn't fully brief them or I didn't give them the support they needed, they're not looking at it as in my commander failed me. To them it's just part of the story and it's part of the
Yes.
game. So I once I kind of remember that and I get in that mindset of like my job is to make sure they have fun and they are doing the cool stuff. So as long as I'm like actively sending them to do cool stuff, we're good. And thankfully at GCW, that's pretty easy to do. Um, so then the stress melts
Yeah.
away, and I'm like, I'm a rebel captain. I'm gonna puff out my chest and give orders, and then stand here in camp and wait for them to come back and tell me how it went.
Yeah, I will say the hardest thing I think, as like the Imperial, like one of the Imperial faction leads, because I can't discount how much Jesse was always there in the background.
Right?
Anytime I
Yeah.
forgot something, he was there saying it. Like the amount of times that he's like, "Hey, do you notice what time it is? I think payroll is supposed to be happening." I'm like, "Ah, you're so right. We should definitely be doing that."
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. You
but
had Jesse co-leading
yeah,
with you, and
yes,
unfortunately he couldn't be here. He's doing real world job stuff over in
fair enough.
wherever he's at right now, so he couldn't join us. But and I had on the flip side, we were in a very similar situation. We were both co-leading, whereas I
Mhm,
had Captain Cal Calahas or Kahask, who was very much the same way. Anytime I was like, I don't know what I should be doing, and there was a couple times where like that character bleed got to me, and I was just exhausted, and I was just like, I don't want to be dealing with any of this. I just want to
mhm.
shoo people away. He'd pull me aside. He'd be like, Hey, here's what I think we should do, and I was like, That is a stellar idea. You are spot on. Thank you.
Yes.
Um, it was like I was the voice that could be loud, and he was like the brain that would like make the important decisions and like strategically think things through. So, props to Cal if he ever hears this, because he really was like the best co-commander I think I could have asked for. Short of like you and I somehow co-leading a faction.
Who knows? Maybe one. I doubt it'll ever happen. Well,
Well,
I mean, you've played Imperial
I
before.
have,
I don't know
but here's the thing: when I play Imperial, I very intentionally don't like. I'll wear like a rank bar that says like Sergeant. I think my entire thing is I am Colonel Van Kyrell's driver. I am his like escort. I'm his
Okay.
bodyguard. I don't do any like playing Imperial is a vacation for me, dude. All I got to do is follow him around, which is not easy. That dude can run. He's a bit of a
Mhm.
cardio head, and I'm not. But I'll just follow him around and shoot at guys shooting at him. So if you ever came rebel, or hear about this, Dax. We're getting so off topic. Let's create a new faction, you and me.
No, I was about to say the only way
Yeah,
we're going to be able to lead a faction together is by creating a new faction.
yeah. We'll call it to the Cooler Hut Cartel, and we'll play as Cooler Huts. And
Yeah, we'll be the actual Hut Cartel.
there you
You and
go.
listen. We'll co-lead this way. Instead of us being two separate characters,
Right.
we'll get one Hut suit. One of us can be the butt. One
There
of
you
us can be the
go.
mouthpiece.
There, dude, that is
And there we go.
spot on. There you go. All right, so that's okay. We can wrap it up. We're all done.
Yeah,
We have
done.
figured out our plans for next event where we're gonna get a two-man hut suit, and we'll make that happen somehow. No,
Yeah,
um,
100%.
that is a preferable alternative to faction leading, apparently.
No, no. Again, it was a good time.
It is
Actually,
fun.
surprisingly, I don't know how it is for Rebels.
Mhm.
The most stressful thing like on the field was not keeping players like engaged per se because there was always something to do.
Mhm.
But as an Imperial, in the very beginning, I always had to have at least one squad guarding the base, right? Because base gets raided every once in a while. Actually, it was pretty decent this time. We
Not my
had some
fault.
rogue rebels every
Not my
once in a
fault.
while, just like a handful of them, like come up the rear and try to get it that way. But they tried to cross like the big valley, where I'm like, I don't know why
The
you
big
I don't know
opening?
why you do that. You're just out in the open.
Yeah.
It's like where the tree line is, and there's just like this open lot right at
Yeah.
these like
That
I
empty
think
open
technically it's
field
like
with
the
no
east
cover
end.
or concealment. Yeah.
Exactly. And we just have occasionally like shooting from the tree line, and you know, the best thing everyone on the base is like, there's rebels, sir, there's rebels. We have to deal with them. I'm like, nah, we don't. We're not trying to keep people from the tree line
Yeah.
was a hassle. Everyone wants to go in that tree line. And I'm like, don't do it. The rebels own that tree line. We're bad in the tree line. As soon as the Empire goes to the tree line, we're done. It's over.
That was a good like dichotomy we had this event where like, Rebels owned the woods, but you guys owned the town and the like central city area. So really you guys have like the main center of map and we just have like the croissant surrounding it.
Yeah, and it could actually get interesting on that field, because they have that new town that's like right next to the rebel base,
Yeah, Wookiee Village.
um, the Wookiee village, and it's like it's almost built out better than the current town we have. So if we spread the town, you get two like Imperials on one town, Rebels on another.
I'm just
Could be
saying,
kind of
you
interesting.
guys did attack Wookiee Village. It felt like every 30 minutes. And
Really?
my version of don't chase rebels into the wood line was stop going to defend Wookiee Village because we we get distracted from our objectives. And I know what it was. It was Chris doing it intentionally because it was the freaking Imperial
Oh,
Super
was it
Commandos
the ISC?
every time
Ah,
coming to
yeah.
Wookiee Village, and they're like, "Oh, we need everyone to go defend." I'm like, "No, we don't. He's gonna go there. They're gonna drain some resources from the cache, and if you guys try
Mhm,
and defend it, we're gonna get bogged down. We're basically gonna get stuck in our base. We're gonna get bogged down, and all of you are gonna die a few times, and nothing will get
mhm,
done." It's a
mhm.
and he played it so smart. Anytime there was a convoy about to roll through one of y'all's convoys, guess who's
Uh-huh.
attacking Wookiee Village?
I
Some.
will say, like, listen, it was very funny because every once in a while, we'd be doing the convoy mission,
Mhm.
and I'd have squad leads come up to me and be like, "Hey, can we get like ISC to come help, like protect the convoy?" And every time I told them, I said, "Listen, they're not under my jurisdiction.
Yeah.
They're under somebody else's.
Don't
Like they don't
worry.
have
Yeah.
comms, they don't have anything. They're doing something, and I wouldn't worry about it."
The ISC was the reason that the entire rebel force couldn't just like fall in on one ambush. Like it was,
Really,
dude.
that's good to
There
know.
was multiple times where I was sitting there like fuming, where I'm like, Dax, Chris, freaking Jesse, they're outplaying me. Ugh.
Well, the crazy thing is like again, like I would send squads to do specific things to
Mhm.
try to like be strategic. I had no control over the ISC. I didn't even get Chris didn't come for me for input or anything, which is fine. Like he's doing what he's doing.
Mhm.
Um, and that's how we played it. Legitimately, every single time someone asked me about the ISC, I'm like, they're not under us. They're
Yeah.
under specific. They're under special permissions, or they're under
Yeah.
special orders that way above my pay grade, which is pretty easy when you're just a lieutenant.
And I
It's
gotta
pretty easy to
say,
play that way.
from the rebel point of view, it worked out well because like we could kind of tell that it was almost like there was two imperial forces at play. There was the main
Mhm.
imperial army that was doing convoy security and all these other things, and then it really felt like you had the super commandos that were either doing these distraction attacks or diversions or kind of like special missions, or even just going through that run through the woods collecting resources off off the supply caches. And it made
Hmm.
it really tough for us. Like we had to really um, like start getting creative and crafty because I don't. This was a 3 day event, so we'll talk a little bit. This actually leads into
Yeah.
that really well. This was a 3 day event, um, our longest one yet, and I know like we both just said we're both still tired. The bottoms of my feet still
Hmm.
hurt. Turns out I need to put insoles in my boots because oh my gosh, it was so, dude.
100%,
On
man.
Monday, it was so bad. I woke up in the hotel room, and like I swung my legs off the bed, put them on the ground, and I felt the blood rush to the bottom of my feet. It hurt so bad. I swung my feet back up on the bed and was like, no, no. So I need to get some high arch support in my boots. But anyway, uh, you know,
Hmm.
people for whatever reason can't or don't stay the full 3 days. That's fine. I
Yeah.
think it works out best because if you can only come for half the event, if the event is longer, half that event means you're there more, so it's more playtime for you. But man,
Yeah.
by Sunday, the rebellion was looking a little slim. We had been taking pretty high casualty rate this event. Uh,
Yeah, we were pretty similar. I mean, I don't think we lost as many, probably not as many. I mean,
I
I
know
don't know
for a fact
percentage
you
wise
didn't.
if we lost as many people as you.
I know for a fact you didn't because I remember at one point someone asked me like, "Hey, how many players do you have?" And I was like, counting players that are here, combat capable, like they're still in fighting shape, and they're like actively like listening because some rebels would go undercover and just disappear, and I never saw them again. It happens. It's a
Yeah,
LARP
yeah.
event. People are gonna do what they're gonna do. So
Mhm.
I was like, I have, including myself and Cal, 12 rebels, and that was most of
Mm.
Sunday. So it got a
I think
little rough.
Sunday I didn't actually get a head count because it's funny. We
Mm,
started with we split everyone into like four squads, and so I think on some point on Saturday those squads grew to like 10 people per squad. It was like insane. I was vying for like maybe we should do a fifth squad, but like at least one group was like 10 guys that had all come together. And so it's like, well, I'm not going to separate you if you
yeah.
don't want to be separated, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
Um, and so we had like four squads of like 8, 9, 10 people. And I think by Sunday, I want to say we had a little over 20 players. That's not including ISC because ISC kind of like did their, again, they would jump into squads. They had like temporary squads that they were sort of a part of, but they
Mhm.
would jump out as soon as they needed to be ISC.
Believe me, we
I,
counted them as y'all's numbers because they sure
oh yeah, that's fair.
they were still in opposition to us, so they were a part of y'all.
Yeah, I think I mean by Sunday, I stopped with the squads. I genuinely at some point I was like, "You're one squad. I'm
Yeah,
just gonna
I
send you
did the
out. Like
same
you guys
thing.
can split up however you need to, but you're one squad."
Sunday morning they asked me like what we were doing, and I was like, going forward we are one unit. Like everyone sticks together. We are like when the rebels show up, they show up 12 deep. Um, but even that,
Yeah,
like I chalk it up to high casualty rate because of Imperial Super Commandos. That's all I can do.
there you
Um,
go. There you go.
but hey, the
I
people.
mean, actually, it was interesting. We had a number of Imperials. I want to say like 3 or 4, which doesn't sound like a big number
Mhm.
until you start sorting them into squads. Um, like 3 or 4 like were not, when I say not combat effective, I mean like didn't, like I think two of them just genuinely didn't have a blaster, and the other ones were like very limited, which is fine. Again, like, and that's the cool thing is like I actually thought it was such a beautiful thing is to see like people who are willing to play Imperial and genuinely not come with any way to actively be the aggressive Imperial. So they were just, I mean, they were doing mission. They were being scouts. They were runners. They were the guys who like went and
Right
actually
on.
scanned
Right on.
their stuff. So it was very cool. It was very cool to see people being effective, even though they had no real way of being in combat.
Hey, that's awesome, and I think that just speaks to the wider event as a whole. That GCW is not a combat-only event. We have
Mhm.
multiple players that are very successful in the fact that they don't normally carry a blaster rifle. Sometimes some don't even carry a blaster pistol, or if they do, they never draw it. I
Mhm.
know I talked to a few people where it was like I have a pistol, but it's not loaded. It's just on my hip for the fashion. Um,
I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this, but I'm pretty sure Crix Haran, like for about half the event, was walking around with an empty pistol.
I had one moment where I was undercover in town on Sunday, and I was like, I saw all the Imperials running off, and I pulled my pistol in my holster, and I thought about it, and I went, it's empty anyway, and I just put it back in the holster.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Apparently, I was told a story from Crix
Mhm.
because again we live fairly close to each other. Um,
Charming.
and he was telling me he was like, yeah, at some point I think Perla had him like arrested, and they one of them had taken his gun and like pointed it at him as a as a threat.
Hmm.
And he was like, I know something you don't. That thing is not loaded.
Go ahead and pull the trigger, bud. We'll both be
Yeah, go
disappointed.
ahead, see what happens.
But yeah, it's nice to know that even within the factions, you don't need a blaster. 'Cause, we had rebels that spent the entire event, undercover, just radioing back information, getting missions completed. People would
Yeah.
disappear and then come back like a full day later and be like, "Here's all the intel I found. Here's all the lootables I found. Here's the missions I completed." And I was like, "Right on. Did you shoot
I'm
anybody?
okay.
No. Cool.
I'm glad you had this experience because I had the same experience as the Imperial faction. Everyone, especially like during night stuff, I'd come back in the morning because I was like, as I would try to stay up as late as I could, but at a certain
Yeah.
point, I'm like, I am exhausted. I need to sleep, or I will not be effective in the morning.
Yeah.
I'd get up early in the morning, and I'd have a squad just walk up to me and say like, "So we captured these points. We went across the tree line. We did all this." And like, I'm I'm glad that you're doing it without me having to
Yeah.
tell you to do it.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. It makes it so much easier to lead when you can just say, I don't know. I don't know if you experienced this, but it was very cool. Because uh, I thought, man, I'm gonna have to manage like a lot of people. I didn't actually have to manage that many people. I had to manage like 4 or 5 people who were like the sergeants.
Yeah.
We had like a proper. It felt like a proper
Yeah,
hierarchy
that chain of
where
command.
it was like, yeah, where I could basically tell like, "Hey, sergeant, you're gonna go do this mission. Tell your guys whatever you need. I don't even need to have all your guys in front of me. I'm gonna
Mhm.
tell you.
Yep.
You're gonna communicate to your squad, and then you get to delegate how you succeed
Yes.
in
So
that mission."
that was the big thing that I briefed repeatedly was operational independence,
Hmm.
and like moment to moment discretion falls on my squad leader. So shout out the rebel lieutenants that were present. Odo, Raptus, Hunter. Gosh, now I'm gonna start forgetting names. Gonna start naming them. Kian. All those guys that Unless I'm forgetting, all those guys that wear that rank badge, they are really good at me telling them, "Hey, here's what I need done," and they go do it. I don't like microman. There
Yeah.
was one time I micromanaged a mission, and it was like
Hmm.
like a distractionary probing attack. So where I was like, "Listen, do not do this, do not do this, do this, do this." But other than that, it was great to just be like, "Hey, I need this done. Who can do it?" And someone would say, my squad's on it, and then I don't ask questions. They come back
Yeah.
however
Just let them
long
do it.
later, and they say either they did it or something happened, and I'm like, cool. Um, and it
I
was
think actually. Oh no, you go. You
it
go.
it was really funny when like on day two when I was like, all right, we need to turn the heat up a little bit because we're holding back too hard and we're getting our butts kicked. So you know I'm kind of loosening the restraints on what you can do. So I need you to do this, and however, like I think it was like to the mission was that like Perla had intercepted some supplies. Someone was being smuggled in for us, so we had to like steal the crates back.
Mm,
And I got some people for it, and I was like, "Look, how you do this is up to you. But there are
mm.
crates in the Perla HQ in the bottom floor. I want them. How you obtain them is entirely up to you." And
Such a terrifying order.
I think I briefed like maybe 4 people on that at most because I did like it was a spur of the moment thing. And then like less than an hour later, they were all back. I had all
Yeah.
the crates, and I was like, "Cool. I don't know. I don't. However you did it, awesome. Just let me know if like we're on like the Perla watch list, and they're all coming to take us out now. As Kian is saying in
Yeah.
chat, we give permission, they make it happen, and that's true. If I say like, there was one moment where I was like, "Hey, move through town if you have to, like just full blitz through the town," and I think there's actually a
Mhm.
video of that somewhere because it was pouring rain, so it was very cinematic. But
Yes, yes.
it was
I
it's great.
remember
Shout out the squad leaders and the players that step up to help with that
100%.
leadership responsibility because it's not easy, but you guys make it easier.
Yes, 100%. Again, shout out to the sergeants of the Imperial, Sergeant Elder. I Sergeant Whitpit, I believe that's his name. I'm
Whitpit.
sorry if I don't remember your actual titles. Yeah,
No, I think
and
Whitpit
I
is
met a
better.
lot of Imperials that day, those 3 days, and I remember your ranks more than I remember your actual names. I don't think I caught half of their actual names. I was too
How
busy saying like,
imperial of you.
"Sergeant, go do
Yeah,
this."
how
I know,
imperial of you.
great, right?
You don't know your men, you just know the numbers and the ranks.
It's definitely a fault of the character, and definitely not the fault of the person
Yeah, of
who's
course, of
who's
course.
playing the character. I
Of course.
swear, it was
The
totally intentional.
yeah. The vices are all the characters and the positive traits are all the players, as we
Yeah,
could say.
exactly, exactly. But no, it was super cool. To basically, actually, something I didn't expect to feel is I felt important enough that I was like, I can't just because usually I play a scout trooper. I'm like, I feel invincible. Like I've got Blastoid. At this point, I've got some resilience depending on the rule set that we're looking at. Um, and so most of the time, I feel pretty invincible. I can go and run out in the front line. If I get shot, oh well, we'll see what happens. It doesn't hurt. I'm wearing armor.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I was like, I feel like I can't just run out with my guys. I can't. I actually have to like be managing actively from a different location because if I die, I
Players
can
are
I
gonna want
can't
to
give
capture
orders.
you. Yeah, people.
Exactly.
That's the true like pain of command is like if I get shot, they're gonna make a whole thing about capturing me,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm not
Mm-hmm.
commanding for the next 2 hours because I'm in handcuffs or something. But I know I feel that pain. I think I only like participated in frontline combat like maybe 2 times over the course of 3 whole days.
I
Uh,
think it's the same for me. Yeah.
yeah, you miss out
It
on
was like,
that.
yeah, but actually that's another thing to kind of shout out. I will say you brought up a good point. You feel like because you're the faction leader, right?
Mhm.
If someone captures you, they're gonna make a big deal of it. The Imperials have a kind of a fun little challenge with that is that if we ever have to get off a field or we have to go to starport or whatever reason,
Mhm.
we got to go through the entire map. We gotta cross through town, which used to be an issue. And every time I did it, I was a little wary. I'm like, I would go alone, despite telling all my troopers, don't ever go alone in town. You have to have at least one person with you. But every once in a while, I'm like, I need to go do this thing off. I need to go off world. I need to go get something at camp, or I need to go talk to Raincloud or any other admin. And you know, I didn't I didn't feel I felt in danger like one time in town, like just walking by myself in an Imperial officer's uniform. Like that's pretty incredible.
Mhm.
The town felt nice, felt pleasant. Sometimes it was a little too quiet,
Yeah,
but it
that's
was
one.
a very pleasant experience to go through town most of the time.
That's one thing we're trying to get better at balancing is like, you know, making sure there's constant tension and heat so it feels like this is a civil war without it just being like random chaos and mayhem to where like both factions are just locked to their bases unless they are on a combat operation. And I think I have the perfect person to kind of join in and talk about that briefly,
Ooh.
and talk about, you know, the town life and the people there within. So we're going to get formerly Liana Halleck on the call, and hopefully she'll tell us about her cool new character that I know nothing about. Now the
She's a
cameras are all
scary
messed up for
lady.
the YouTube audience, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to try and rearranging them. So we're just not going to have video for the time being because I don't know what is going on with these cameras. So let me make sure her audio is on. I'm not. See if we can hear her.
All right, is my audio on?
Yep, we hear you.
I can hear it.
Okay, great.
welcome. So, should we still call you Liana? What's the new name now?
I don't. So those Liana, even though that's not my regular name, so I'll still answer to that. But Agent Frey's first name is actually Liana, so she might look at you funny, but she'll still hold on to
Gotcha.
it.
That's a smart move. I like that. All right. Well, before you became Agent Frey, can you tell us a bit about the town life and the unaffiliated players and kind of how things went from that non-faction combat experience?
Yeah, well, I love how you even had some Imperial players who are playing blasterless.
Mhm.
My hope is that people that want a great epic battle experience can have that. People that want to just come blasterless and just live in the galaxy as a normal person can do that.
Mhm.
And sometimes like we have two separate games going on, like
Yeah.
at the Imperial Rebel battles, and then we've got the town shenanigans.
Mhm.
But I love when they intersect in interesting ways, like when Perla had your supplies, and uh, people had to, or rebels were just kind of hanging out, and people can pass them information, or if they know who they were, um, or when Imperials came by doing investigations or trying to get their arrest quota on.
What arrest quota? We definitely didn't have that. It was definitely
I don't
definitely didn't
know.
have a prisoner quota.
I think I remember hearing something about Imperial prison quotas as well.
No, we definitely didn't have a not so secret prisoner quota at all.
Not what the Ewok said, but
Uh-huh. Well, I'm glad to hear that because that's kind of what I was just talking about. I think you're right, and I think you are spot on. There is almost like there's two separate games going on. There is the civil war between rebels and empire, um, but this war wasn't always fought on like far away distant battlefields. It wasn't always fought at military bases and big foundries and these secret planets. A lot of times it was fought where people lived in towns and or people's homes. And I think that's the fun thing we get to explore because it's showing a side of the Galactic Civil War where we see that despite how big this galaxy is, people can't just pick up and leave when the war comes to their doorstep. So we get that fun experience of like, okay, how do people continue to live through this? But not only that, but what kind of people does it attract when there's an active like battle happening? And how do the participants of the battles change their way or change their actions and kind of go about doing things when there's civilians just like hanging out over there, kind of watching? They're like on their front porch, just having their lunch, watching a battle take place in the woods outside of town. Um, so it is two separate games, but I feel like it comes together and combines to make a really awesome experience where, you know, you can you can have a big impact on a war without ever firing a shot. And I love that about that, and I envy the unaffiliated players many times who get to do things at their own pace a little more. Um, I think, in my personal opinion, that's one of the nicer parts of the unaffiliated player experiences. Not having to take orders unless you want to be
Yeah.
taking orders. So that's
it
fantastic and it's great to
definitely
hear.
requires you to have your own self motivation
Oh yeah.
for. So I underestimated how many players are in one of our sub factions. We had like 10 affiliated tickets or something, but down to people are actually just themselves
Hmm.
wandering around. Like it was actually that many. I think is good. The sub factions really can help provide direction and quests, and feel
Hmm.
like you have people who will back you up in a fight, or kind of a direction for the whole event that's not just based on your own character.
Yeah. It is great. And speaking of character, I'm wondering, can you give us like a sneak peek at Agent Frey? We've all come to know and love Liana Halleck so much. Now that she's gone, we're wondering who this new person is. Kind of me like sneaking amongst the shadows of our
Yeah,
events.
well, met her when she came to help pick up Agent Gravis
I saw her.
as
I didn't get the
prisoner.
opportunity to exchange words. Things
Yeah.
devolved rapidly.
She's a scary lady. She's just it can't I can't I listen, I cannot emphasize this enough. you are Leona. You are one of the like sweetest people I've ever met, and it is terrifying to watch you play a different character that I feel like could kill me at any moment.
Oh, I love that. She was actually mostly unarmed the entire event. I had a pocket. That's work when
Yeah. I'm sad I missed the
I will have a case
okay.
with a blaster next time because
Right on.
I'm not sure how holsters work for ISB, but
I'm sure there's
I
a
feel
cool
like
one out there.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sure.
But yeah, she's part of ISB internal affairs.
Mhm.
So she came to Vest to investigate irregularities at the IDMR. If you heard about the virus or any of the cases flying around, you might think that this organization could use a little more insight, and that's exactly what to do.
Awesome. I would agree with that because I wandered into the IDMR once and I saw a dead body in the corner. So I think they could probably use all the help they can get. Um, but that's great.
Yeah, there was.
I'm sad I missed Liana's arrest. I didn't know it happened until you turned up as Agent Frey, and I was like, oh, that's why I haven't heard or seen from Liana in a hot minute. She's arrested. Well, I'm sure the prison won't be that bad. That's not true. I read the book. It's pretty
Uh,
bad, but I know we're looking.
yeah, yeah.
We are looking forward to meeting and engaging with Agent Frey. Hopefully, we'll have more opportunity to uh, have interaction that doesn't end in explosions and shootouts.
Well, that will depend on how the rebels behave in town, I guess.
Yeah,
There you go.
Dax, you'll
We'll be
have more of a
asking a lot of
chance than I will.
questions and investigating. So
Oh yeah.
might not be so easy to just sit in town, sitting on your comms and like, oh yep, the convoy's gonna come at this time. Like, yep, the Imperials are doing this. Like, because someone's gonna be watching.
Yeah,
So
I was surprised it
Spoken
didn't
like a
get to a
true
point.
Imperial.
Yeah, I was surprised it didn't get to a point where like just having a radio in town was reason enough to be arrested. Because I sure had a lot of rebels just doing that, just staying on their
You
posts.
know,
oh,
if
they were
someone
good
had
at it.
told me, maybe, but I don't think anything. I don't think a single one of. I told. Listen, it was actually quite funny because we, heat was a big thing, and I encouraged my players like give out heat as
Yeah,
much
yeah, yeah, yeah.
as possible, and I would send specific squads out to like just give heat, arrest people. That's your job. Find criminals, and a lot of the time, I don't know if that happened. Like, I think it
I would otherwise, but I think your players feel guilty giving out.
yes, yes.
Like,
I definitely think it's a little bit of a the dissonance between like a player and like the character they're playing. Like obviously you're playing an Imperial, but you're still like out with with all your like dorky and nerdy friends playing Star Wars, right?
people like you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Liana, can you give us your best moment, like your favorite memory from the event before we let you go?
Oh, we have to be the interrogation in the Imperial base. Cloud's there as like a rebel intelligence agent, and he's always playing it up the best, and he has all these epic lines and getting down with the stock
Hmm.
of the gun. And Goblin was there being a soul, and Gracchus, of course, his pompous self. I got to throw water in his face. That was pretty good.
Oh, that is a good one. And I know we have a lot of pictures of this interrogation. It's really funny because one of the photos is you and Raincloud kind of slumped over against the wall, and you have three Imperial interrogators, but everyone's looking at the camera smiling. I have that picture in our slideshow somewhere.
And first, I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, I guess.
I guess.
See, it's really okay.
But all right, thank you so much for popping in, Liana. Sorry to kind of surprise you with it, but I'm glad you could have some conversation. All right. So, all right. Hey, we got our cameras back. All right.
I was about to say, oh man.
Yeah, we can be seen again. That's what people really tune in for.
Oh.
They tune in for the visual aspect of this audio medium.
I will say on Liana's arrest, I'm sad I missed it, but I'm waiting. I've been waiting. I think it was dang it, I don't remember who I talked to, but um, so it's one of our staff members, one of our vendors.
Mhm.
I'm walking through town and he says, "I got it all on camera." And I'm like, "You got what on camera?" And then he proceeds to show me what looks like live leak footage of Rain Cloud and Leona being dragged off, and then shots beginning to happen, and he like the camera ducks down. You can see the ground for a second, and he like comes back up. He's in
Mhm.
one of the Connex boxes with a window, just watching it all. Everyone's dead, like everyone's on the ground
Oh
with
my
bleed out tags. I need to see that
Yeah, I
video,
can't wait for
please.
this
Whoever
video.
has it, drop it.
But Dax, tell us your best memory, your best moment, your coolest story. It can be exaggerated if you want to. Uh, tell us about your best time from Veil's Edge.
Man, that's a hard one because surprisingly, you'd think it's sort of a blur, you know, like a lot of. Okay, I had this very fun moment. So for people who weren't at the event and that don't know and that weren't part of the big old festival,
Oh yeah.
there was we had a mini pandemic during this event. We had a virus start spreading through the town.
What was the name of that
Um,
virus? The local
oh,
given
what was the
name.
name? A
Yeah,
local name.
the local name for
People
that
were
virus.
calling it the Dark Star virus,
Yes, named
because one of our sergeants, Sergeant Darkstar,
was
was supposedly, at least by the Imperials and by the back to clinics knowledge for like the smallest amount of time, he was patient zero. That's definitely not. From what I've heard, that's not the case. But all we knew is we were delivered a body by a Trandoshan who said food, and me as not a character, as a person's like, okay, I know that there's stories that are happening here. As a character, I'd be like, no, get this thing out of our base. But as you know, as a staff member, I'm like, this might be story stuff. So yeah, bring the body in. We'll have our researchers look at it, and of course, Sergeant Darkstar decided to touch it with his bare hands, which he immediately when he went to the clinic was told he had parasites, and also he had also touched combat drugs, which made it very difficult to understand which
yeah.
thing was part of what disease. But I think my favorite moment was that I had done my hardest this entire event to not become infected because we knew that Darkstar had it. We pretty much we forced him out of the base. We're like, it's nothing personal. You just can't. We're gonna find you a cure, but we had to get you out of base. And I had done my best to not get infected. And I think I had I this was one of the few times I was on the front lines. One of my squad was getting wiped out by people who were sitting in town, and so I decided to go on with a small squad just to try to take him out. And of course, as a guy running around in a black Imperial officer's uniform with barely a pistol, I got shot. I went down. And I'm sitting there. I'm bleeding out, saying, "Ah, I got back to somebody. Somebody come help me." I just hear the voice, "Hey, bud." And I see Crix Haran come by. And I don't remember how I had this information, but at some point somebody had told me, hey, Crix Haran is infected with the virus. And so as he's doing it, I'm like, don't let him touch my skin. Don't let him touch my skin. And of course, like the player who is Crix Haran, of course, as soon as he heard that, placed his hand very gently on the right side of my face and started counting down the 10 seconds it would take for me to get rezzed.
Hey, there's
Which of
Darkstar
course
on screen. So you have
there.
an image of who's
Oh,
to
is he?
blame. Yeah, he's on the YouTube right now, I believe. But sorry,
Oh,
continue.
awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was this very fun moment of like, of course this is how it happens, and
Yeah.
which is kind of fun because the Dax character is a character that's interacted with Crix quite often. When we first made like the Imperial kind of like deal with the Huts,
Mhm.
I was part of that squad that went to talk with them. And so we've always had like a little bit of a fun little like underlying like, oh, perhaps we're sort of friends, but not really. And to have myself be infected by that was quite fun. And then we had an entire um, during our festival, we had a very loud moment where everyone was shoved into one Connex box, and I got to watch my own squads that I had been ordering for 2 days, pointing guns and threatening me if I decided to leave the Connex box. So it was a pretty fun time. It was pretty cool. It's definitely not the most glorious thing for me to be a part of, but
No, it sounds
it was a
like
good
fun
time.
though. I'm glad we had similar moments of the virus being introduced to the respective bases because I had all event I had been receiving some intel of it, so okay, I knew that something was happening with this virus stuff. And like you said, like when you get to that staff slash faction leader level, you have to stop thinking, okay, what would my character do, and start thinking like, okay, how do I move these stories along for the players?
Hmm.
And at one point, one of our players brings back a Camtono, and I'm like, all right, cool, let's get that sucker open.
Yeah.
And one of the rebels, he opens it up. Like we go through the whole, so he slices it open. Uh, he can't figure out how to like actually put the code in, so it takes us a minute. Finally, we get it. He opens it up. I see him reaching around in there. He pulls out a vial that says stalker virus, and we're like, huh.
Oh,
I looked at that and I
no.
was like, that's not good. And then he pulls out a skull and he like he holds it up to me like this. He's like, and there's a skull in here, and I'm thinking in my head, that thing's probably just that thing is
You done it.
that thing is Virus City right there. He did have gloves on, but I later found out that that Camtono had been like just packed full of the virus. So
Beautiful.
I remember looking at that and thinking, "You have got to be kidding me." I had been like, it was so funny because all event I'm thinking like, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your
Mhm,
gloves,
mhm.
like this is a real virus, and I'm over here encouraging hygiene. And we were doing pretty good, and then there's that, and I'm just like, Rain Cloud got us.
I
He
mean,
got us.
I think what it was probably like, because I think there was a lot more, like there was a bunch of us shoved in that Connex box during the festival
Hmm.
uh, for the disease, but I'm pretty sure like almost like 70% of the town was infected and just didn't know it at the time.
Oh yeah,
And so
if
they weren't doing they weren't RPing. Obviously, this isn't a real disease.
yeah,
So you gotta have the in game knowledge that you're infected to start acting like
well,
you're
maybe
sick.
it takes a bit longer in some people, and to
Yeah.
speak on that, both Rebels and Empire were given the opportunity to embark on a galactic operation. Which, if you don't know,
Mhm.
that's what the Operation Firebird was. And if you don't know what Operation Firebird was, I will very briefly explain it. Um, at Echo's Resolve, the rebels accomplished two different side objectives that were tied to the same story beat. At the end of that event, we were given a special briefing in which we were told that we could choose to send rebel ships on a mission to ambush a a Imperial supply vessel, and we instead decided, hey, what if we tried to steal it? And so Raincloud said, okay, you can try and steal it. And so players in the moment volunteered their real characters to kind of go on another mission that was then handled by myself, Raincloud, and a couple others to act as like the game runner staff. And if you're familiar with games like Kriegspiel, um, I'll say even D&D to an extent, because I technically made character sheets for squads. Each player's class and rank was factored in, and they were given like a stat block. And I booted up Tabletop Sim, and I built a simulation, and we made our own rules, and we played out the turns. And this real story beat with real consequences played out over the course of months in between Echo's Resolve and PGR. Um, the consequences were so real in that we had one character permanently die, so one player permanently lost his character progression. And to his credit, he came back as a really cool battle droid. My character
So
lost
sick.
his right arm, and there's unfortunately no photo of me wearing like the glove prosthetic exists, but I did wear it for the most part. And we had a few others that got injured or even promoted. Now, players don't have a whole lot of input on their character actions and what they do in the moment. It's kind of just here's what happened, here's what all was done. but it's not a D&D game in that every person is like doing individual acts. It's more so like here's what your squad did. And
Mhm.
they did successfully steal the ship, and so as a reward, the rebels started with more Bacta than they should have, and I personally went out and bought 300,000 BBs that were free for the rebels to use. So there are real
Nice,
rewards as well
nice.
to these galactic operations. And because it was a success last time, we're doing it again. The rebels have been offered one, and I believe you did the briefing for the Imperial one, correct?
Yes, sort of. Man, like again, Sunday was a blur of a day. And
Yeah.
granted, I was given this briefing in a very fun and realistic way during an officers meeting. We had like an officers gala at the cantina,
They mean to
which
ask about that.
also, oh, do you want me to talk about that?
Yeah,
That
go ahead.
was genuinely a fun time. It was we had talked, Raincloud and I had talked about it, and he said he wanted to have a gala at the cantina, so we had a reserved like area for
Okay.
all the imperial officers, which at first was supposed to be kind of restricted to, like the lieutenants and above, but we, fun fact, did not have that many lieutenants or above. And so obviously Agent Frey, that was the first time I saw Agent Frey,
Mhm.
is she showed up to the meeting and I got to sit across from her, and it was very scary because she just kind of stared, and she was very poignant with what she said, but she was always very accusatory. It was incredible. But Raincloud came out as his imperial character, very high rank. I actually don't know what rank he was playing. I would have to see the pips
There's
again.
just too many pips of too many
Um,
colors to know.
it was so many pips, man. It's and then Gracchus was there, and then we invited the sergeants out. So the sergeants were there. Commander Durin. Yep, that's what he is. Um, and we had the sergeants, and obviously our lieutenant colonel uh, was there. Um, and we had like maybe three troopers. No, I think we had actually one below sergeant, and I think he was a corporal. I want to say, but it was very cool because everyone kind of at least tried to come in like dress uniform in a way. Um, there's actually there the uh, atmosphere was very interesting because again we had this whole section, we had this
Mhm.
all the tables like put together, and the entire rest of the cantina, is noisy, everyone's having fun. You're sitting there and the Imperials are very quiet except for one side of the Imperials, which are all the sergeants and even Lieutenant Colonel, where they're all like talking about their exploits for the day. I'm sitting next to Commander Durin, Ensign Frey, Gracchus. I'm just sitting there, and everyone's very stiff, very cold. I'm doing my best to play the lieutenant who is way over his head. That is, he is not meant to be here fully. He is not. Apparently, it's canon that he has not gone to officer training or officer school or whatever it's called. So uh, that's kind of fun. But it was super cool, and it was this. I guess it was a vehicle for Raincloud to give us this fun little mission. But it took, I want to say, like someone could correct me, but I think it took like an hour and a half for him to actually present it because we kept having. I had hired, not hired. I had ordered like two imperial troopers to
Mhm.
kind of act as guards. And every once in a while, you'll never feel more official than when you're trying to eat and talk with people, and a trooper comes down and like leans over next to your ear and says like, "Hey, I think there's a rebel threat outside." We were told like rebels were coming to attack the cantina, so I kept having to get up and go deal with that. And by the time I think Raincloud finally gave us this fun, like cool secret mission, I think most everyone had left at that point. I think it had already been an hour and it was starting to get cold and stuff. So, but yeah, the it was very cool, very atmospheric.
Mhm.
The mission itself,
I heard you had like your own waiters and everything, bringing you drinks and refills and food.
we did. We had like two waiters that
Yeah.
I have to give them props. Like I I don't think I would go to GCW and then say like, you know what I want to do today. I'm going to pretend like I have I have a wait. I'm a waiter. I have an actual job.
according to Kian, one had real culinary experience, so they were in
That's
their
so
element.
awesome.
I want to ask,
If
did the waiters look familiar?
I don't think I honestly I think I was too distracted. Were they people I should have known?
They're people I know.
Oh, the rebels,
It's for the
secret
best you didn't
informants.
recognize them, but yeah,
Yeah, I guess. Hey, you know what? Props and hey, the disguise. I from what I heard, the disguises were a success for the
I
rebels.
told the rebel lieutenants at our like pre-event faction meeting we had on Discord. I was like, look, bring as much soft kit and spare clothes as you can. Um, be ready to swap and change clothes and have different civilian outfits. And they did. I had guys pulling through with like 4 different fits. So,
Jeez,
they
I
came
will
in clutch on
say
that.
that disguises would make would 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 make some things make sense. At some point, as told by a trooper, do not drink the water. It is poisoned.
Had nothing to do with that.
And I'm
I heard
like,
those
I don't
rumors
know.
too. We were also warned that like, hey, Bacta's contaminated, water's contaminated, and
Mhm.
I'm like, what is going on at this event?
Well, I think that's one of my favorite things about GCW is
Yeah,
like sometimes you're not privy to everything.
you're
You
really
don't get
not.
to see every single thing, and that's actually something you should kind of get your mind out of. Is that you're
Yeah.
not always going to be at the right place at the right time. It's
Yeah.
always fun when you are, but you're not going to see everything. And so when people are telling me water's poison, I'm like, I guess the water's poisoned. Don't drink the water,
Is
guys.
there a way to know which water is and isn't poisoned? Will I
I
taste it?
don't know. All I know is that Rain Cloud, for story purposes, because I was also very thirsty, actually needed water at some point. He like pulled out, um, I don't know what he pulled out, but he stirred it in the water, just I think it was like one of the code cylinders, and just like stirred in the water. It's like it's safe.
Yeah, I feel that. There was a lot of things this event that happened. Sufficient sleeping, eating, and water drinking probably were not some of them. I know that
Yeah,
I know on Sunday I had a moment where I was walking the entire length of the woods to the north end, and I was like, wow, I've not felt this hungry before in a very, very long time. Because I realized I didn't eat breakfast, didn't eat lunch, didn't eat dinner last night. So it was the true rebel
yeah.
experience of fighting on an empty stomach while mildly dehydrated.
There you go.
That
There you
being
go. That's
said,
that.
players don't ever do that. Drink plenty of water and eat food.
Please,
Please
please.
do as we say, not as we do. Oh,
If we had more prisoners at some point, actually, one of the tasks that I had written up was like, just deliver Imperial players water. Please.
gosh.
Like, just make sure people are drinking.
I probably should have done the same. Been like, hey, just go pass water bottles around. Uh,
Yeah. Give them a couple credits. Just say, pass the water. Just
yeah.
say, make it fun. Say it's a special Bacta or something, special rations.
Raincloud is asking people slept at Veil's Edge? Allegedly.
Yeah.
I have 2 moments where I can say it's not my fault. The first, I was cooking some like spam, some nice good canned meat on my camp stove, and as I'm cooking it, 2 separate interruptions like, Commander, they need you at the front gate, and I'm like, I'm gonna burn my spam. Come on, man. Uh,
Yeah.
so I walk off to do that, totally forget about it, come back, meat's cold, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
There you go. Yeah.
And then I had another one where I think it was like Saturday night. Um, I told it was Friday night. I told the guys like, look, it's midnight. I'm headed to bed. Cal's gonna stay up a bit longer to like help you guys out. If we get attacked, handle it. If you can't handle it and I start hearing you guys die, then I'll come help. I go lay down in my cot. Gabby falls asleep. I'm laying there. I hear shooting. Okay, that's fine. No big deal. They can handle it. More shooting. More shooting. I hear guys calling hit. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
Jump back out of my cot, out of my warm sleeping bag, pull my pants and shirt back on, don't even put my boots on. It's freezing cold, and I got boots on. Walk up to my
Mhm.
blaster rifle, take up position, contact cleared. We're done. We're good. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
You know what's funny? I told them don't attack base. I told them, hey man, let them sleep.
I, I, I,
I said,
yeah, I did the same thing. I told our guys that, hey, there's nothing at the Imperial base. There's automated
mm-hmm.
sentries that will like shoot you. There's landmines. Don't worry about it. Just Especially like
From
past
my
the quiet
understanding,
hours, it's not worth it. But from what I understood, it was an accident. They did not. They were hunting Bull of OC and accidentally stumbled into the rebel camp.
well, from what I understand, at some point, because I talked to a trooper, at some point he was like, "Yeah, we went to the rebel base." I'm like, "Why? Why did you do that?" And he's like, "No, we talked to them. They want to set up a battle." And I'm like, "Okay, if you want to, if you want to go do it,
I
go
don't
do
know.
it."
I don't even know what you're talking about. I fully believe that
I,
that happened, but I was not privy to it.
I'm sure it was like one squad versus one squad. They're just like,
Hey,
"Yeah, you wanna find the forest for a little bit?" And I supposedly that's what happened. It's,
hey, as long as they had fun and were safe and didn't die, that's what matters. Uh, Kian said he would have been very happy if less Imperials showed up asking for him to sell them armor. Yeah, we had people coming to the Rebel base
really,
still asking to buy armor.
really, which is crazy because we had like it was very clear who was selling, like who was your
I know we had some
clients.
unaffiliated that I think came asking, and then
Oh,
and then I know there was like an out of character instance where it was like, hey, the Imperial PX doesn't have the armor that was supposed to be here for me.
oh, I see.
It was a whole thing. People love walking into bases, and I will say the new like unaffiliated faction broker system being the IDMR and the I don't know what the fancy word for the rebel version is. Our undercover agents. I think they worked out decently in
Mhm.
keeping people from walking into bases asking for work. Um, I didn't get a full list of like how many participants and missions were completed, but I'm sure in the coming days we'll have that. But
Yeah.
man, what I think it is, Dax, is jealousy. I think they want to come see our cool
Mm.
bases and they want to come see our cool setups. And I don't blame them.
Listen,
The Rebel base is a lot of cool props just set up making it
I
look
was about to
swarzy.
say I got to see the Rebel base before, games start. I got to because Rain Cloud gave me the tour of like where everything was.
Hmm.
And I gotta say, I was looking at it, I'm like, this is kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Like I'm jealous. Like I thought we had a fort. You guys, like we've got towers,
Yeah.
but you guys have like you guys are way more stuck in. Yours feels like an actual like encampment.
Oh yeah. And I'll tell you, it's when Ben is there, he brings stuff for the sole purpose of it sitting there looking swarzy. Um,
So cool.
Now he passed off a lot of his stuff to Cal to bring, so we still had like the command tent, the field desk, all this cool stuff. And Cal just brought some like there's a picture of one of our guys is a fleet trooper just like on some cool terminal looking thing. It doesn't do anything, it just looks really cool. Uh,
So sick.
but props to you guys as well because I always look for an excuse to go visit the Empire during events because I have far too many friends over there.
Mhm.
So I walked around the base, and I love seeing the uniformity in those black tents, like the bike shed tents.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love the uniformity in that. It looks great. And then Jesse did like a really cool thing with like light panels that look like the Swarzy
Yes, I
Death
was about
Star
to. If you
lights.
didn't point it out, I was gonna point it
Yeah,
out.
like the
He
whole
had he
command
had the Death
center
Star
with
lights.
the Gonk
Yeah.
Droid projector on the wall. I was like, this is sick.
Hmm.
Plus the E-Web
Oh, the
posted up.
command tent. The
Dude,
command.
yeah.
I kept calling it the command tent, but it was a Conex box
Yeah,
this
yeah,
time.
yeah.
But anytime I brought someone in, it felt very Swarzy. It felt
Yeah.
like okay, he had a glowing map and things like that. And I honestly, the eWeb itself, I if I was a Rebel player, if I was an affiliate player, I just want to go to Imperial Base to see that thing.
It is
The first
cool.
time I saw it, the videos don't do it justice.
It's so
It is like
big.
2 times bigger
Yes,
than
the
you
thing
would
is
think it is.
huge. He was like, this was like after the game. I was over there just like talking to Jesse, and Chris was like, "You want to like give it a tour and like mount it?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like I was surprised it had like a real optic that had actual zoom. I
Yes.
was like, "This is." I at no point did I encounter it during the event because again, I didn't get too much frontline fighting, but I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I'm glad I got to like walk around and just check this stuff out."
I will say one of the coolest things was like if because players in the Imperial camp, everyone wanted to be on the eWeb at some point. But
I wanted to be
especially
on the
towards
E-Web at
night,
some point. What are you talking
yeah,
about?
yeah. At some point, during like as night was approaching, because we were gonna have to do night watch and stuff, I said like, "Hey, Chris, can we like situate this in one of the towers? Um, because it's only being able to see from the front, like that's not very. like you can swing it back, but then you're shooting across the Imperial base, which I had a couple players try to do, and I was like, hey, let's not shoot into the base. Like we can take care of the rear. Um, but we put it in one of the towers, and genuinely one of the coolest things was like hearing someone say like, I think there's somebody out there, and seeing a spotlight move, and then hearing the EUF go off and seeing the tracer BBs go through. It felt like we genuinely had an auto turret.
Now I kind of wish I had just like walked up to the Imperial base at night just to see what the defenses were like. That sounds so cool.
We had a surprising amount of players actually want to stay
Yeah.
stay up.
That's
It
good.
was
That's
actually
good.
pretty impressive.
That's, you know, obviously the goal is to like get as many people staying for the full 3 days, like from start X to end X as possible. You know, staying on the field in character. So even for the unaffiliated, I know like a lot of the connexes in town were like rented out as private houses. Like the few times I was in town, I remember walking around and being like, "That's someone's house. That's someone's house." Like, I was looking for a spot to like duck off and like hide, and I was like, "That's someone's house. Can't go in there."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was really cool. And you know, if you did stay on the field, the full start to finish, big props to you. Because I'll confess, I snuck away to take a shower at Jesse's hotel room at one point. Uh, yeah, I needed that.
What?
Like,
You didn't come to the Imperial base? We had hot water. We
yeah,
had a hot
I
shower,
heard.
apparently.
I was like, I didn't know it was a thing until I was like, packing. I was like, yeah, we had a hot shower, and I said, cool. I had a toilet. You know,
Yeah.
I bring my own. Listen, I bring my own toilet. And that's like, if you ever ask me, like, hey, what's the one thing I should bring to make camping better? Bring your own toilet.
Yeah, that's fair.
Get
That
get a
100% fair.
get a 5 gallon bucket. They make liners for them specifically to use
Mhm,
to collect your
mhm,
waste. They make toilet seats specifically to clip on to a 5 gallon bucket.
mhm,
And I think we actually had like the same little mini tent that you guys had for your shower. I use that same one for my
mhm.
toilet. And so while people are complaining about the porta johns getting overused,
Of
uh,
course, as always.
I had no such complaints. So
Yeah, I mean that's fair, and they do make. I think we didn't end up using it. It was far too cold. We brought like a portable shower.
wow,
We brought one of those like you like step on it and it like adds pressure as you're doing it and you just spray
that's
yourself
cool.
down. We
That's
didn't end up
cool.
using it.
Mhm.
We realized that when it's like below 30, uh, you don't really want to be spraying yourself with water exposed to the elements.
Bath
It's not the
wipes.
funnest thing in the world.
Bath
That's what
wipes.
we used.
Yep.
We were like, we're just gonna get bath wipes.
I
And
linked
we'll do
them
it that
in
way.
the chat the last time, and uh, if I had been smarter, I would have like warmed the. Because all you got to do is put a little. It's like they look like little dried out. If you don't know, like Kleenex wipes, stuff like that. Just like a little
Mhm.
like more of a towel feeling to them, more cottony feeling, and you get them a little wet, and you rub them down dry. And then if you want, you can have a towel to wipe yourself down with. They don't leave. What I love,
Yep.
I don't like being sticky. I hate like a sticky feeling.
Yeah.
They don't leave a
Yeah.
sticky feeling. Uh, I think they come odorless if you want odorless ones. But yeah, just pour a little water on them. Give yourself a full body wipe down in your tent. You're good to go. You know, and you can
Yeah.
use them on
No, it's generally
your
awesome.
hair too. Now, my flaw was I did not think to like keep my water warm, or at least like outside of the cold. So I was in there going like,
Yeah.
whoo, whoo, trying to wipe myself down.
Yeah. I've done that before. I'm
Yeah.
when I'm not doing this, I'm backpacking quite often.
Oh
So.
yeah. But we are quickly hitting. Wow, we hit a minute 12 really fast, and we still
Dang.
have so many topics to cover. But we're running
Oh
out
yeah,
of
do you
time.
want me to actually talk about the mission? I
Yeah, yeah.
realized we
The
started it
Imperial
and then
Galactic Operation. Did you
we
give it
veered far off.
Ringcloud? Have we given it a name yet? I named the Rebel one as Operation Contagion, 'cause it ties into the Darksty virus plot, which is so funny because like I don't think players realize how like spur of the moment a lot of this stuff is like improv. But all right,
Yeah.
give us a look at the Imperial Galactic Operation.
Yeah. Again, Raincloud has a little bit more details and it was kind of explained pretty fast to me. And for the players that I was able to give the full briefing to, congratulations, you were probably a sergeant. For the players who weren't a sergeant, I'm sorry. We had to go do a convoy mission. Like we had Jesse was trying to get me to get everyone to the convoy mission, while I was also trying to get people actually briefed. Um, the concept is that the Imperial Command believes that Bolivar is actually that the core is crystal. It's the why can't I think of the crystals, lightsaber crystals? Like
Kyber?
I feel like such a bad Star Wars fan. Kyber crystals, yes. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word today. But the kyber that there's a lot of kyber, and the deeper you go, the purer it gets. So like the kyber you find on like the Bolavo's necks, things like that, is actually very impure. So it's not really, it can't be really used for anything but like trinket use. But deeper is supposedly, pure kyber crystal, which the Empire can use for weaponry and things like that.
Hmm.
And so the idea is to get a Imperial squad that's going to, and there's a bunch of theory about Bolavos and the Bolavosi, and that that they're actually more sophisticated than we think, that we've only seen warriors at this time, and that maybe as we go further down, we'll find sects of Bolavos that might be more intelligent.
Or
So the
less.
idea for this secret mission for Imperial players is to basically lead a um, a team under the surface of Bolivar and get samples so that the Empire can maybe do further operations on Bolivar to build weapons. I couldn't tell you what kind of weapon we're building, but for Star Wars fans who are fairly knowledgeable of the Star Wars universe, there might be things you can guess we could use kyber crystals for.
I've never seen a Star Wars, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I know.
Also, this is
I
the
only do
yeah,
GCW.
this is the first I'm hearing of this brief too, and since I do the game running for like these actual missions, I'm sitting here thinking like I need to find Bolavosi models for tabletop sim now. I don't know
Hmm.
how I'm gonna,
Hmm.
I don't know where I'm gonna find those, but we'll make something happen. But that sounds very interesting, and I'm sure it will be a simple,
Yes, of
issue
course.
free. I'm sure it'll go very
Yeah,
well and
we're
nothing bad.
Imperials. It'll be very efficient. It'll
Yeah.
be very clean.
So
No setbacks whatsoever.
it sounds like the Empire is sending a squad ahead of the 313th to Bolivar, whereas on the Rebel
Mhm.
side, we're having a squad stay back on Mouston 3,
Oh.
where we received a lot of intel this event. We recovered a lot, including the location and access codes to the entrance to the underground science facilities beneath Vess. And with all this talk of viruses going around, we figured it'd be best to send a squad in and recover more of the cure and detonate this facility to prevent any more virus from being created. So, very simple milk run, very quick in and out. Should be no problems whatsoever. So the brave volunteers that are going to be going on this mission have nothing to worry about. So, uh,
Definitely not.
what could go wrong? Nothing at all. Uh,
We don't have a bad feeling about this. Only good feelings about
I have a great feeling about it because I get to play it out and make it happen, and I will.
There you go.
Uh, but don't worry, if you're an Imperial listening, I have a team of like integrity checkers whose entire job is to make sure I'm doing things fair and like strategically. My goal is to always my goal in everything I do is: are the players having a good time? Are the players having fun? Is this increasing engagement with the game? Um, so I have no don't tell the rebels this. I have no true allegiance to any faction. My true allegiance is to GCW and making it as amazing and engaging and fun as it can be. Um, so
I
that's a little sneak peek at the Galactic operations. Um,
yeah.
in the future, we hope we're gonna keep doing more of them. We'll see how this one goes. Keep your eyes and ears open on the Discord for them. Raincloud, don't worry, we've got time. We have a whole year before the next event, and
Thank God.
I'm sure we're not gonna wait until we have not a whole year. We're gonna get ahead of this one.
Oh
Totally.
yeah.
Of
I trust you guys.
course.
And
You're a part of it, Dax. You're gonna be part of my game
what?
running team now. Yeah,
I
you're
know, I
Imperial
know.
cadre. You're gonna be You're gonna be one of the people I DM at 2 in the morning, like, hey, here's the 4 hour long raw footage of the turn. Watch the entire thing
Oh,
and make sure
perfect.
I didn't mess anything up. Make sure it was all fair. Uh,
Oh, perfect. Well, if you're watching and you have not gotten I talked to you about the mission or you're interested, please message me with your stats and things like that.
yeah,
Your
it is 4/19. It is April 19th. You have until
oh,
like I don't know. We'll say like what's a week from today? You have until April 26th
yeah.
to do that, and then we're closing Imperial Rebel registration's already closed because they were given a full debrief at the event. Imperial registration will stay open for another week to give them a chance to muster up the courage to volunteer.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. But don't worry. I think most of the people that I talk to have given me their stuff. I just need to actually get their
Hmm.
Discord, uh, their Discord handles, so we can start a group chat, so
Right.
we can kind of figure that out.
All right. We do need to start wrapping it up. I promised I'd be done around 7:15, and it's already 7:20. If you have not, fill out your post-event survey. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Characters can be killed. We did talk about that a little bit for Firebird. So permadeath is on the menu, but success brings huge booms to your faction. So don't be so selfish with your chain code. Let me kill your characters. I mean, let me play. Let me. Never mind. Uh, Fill out your survey. It is on the Discord in the official announcements channel. It is, I think, also going to be linked some other places, maybe, possibly. Either way, if you have any feedback, anything you want to tell us, anything you really liked, really hated, the best way to tell us your thoughts, feelings, and opinions is the survey. Um, obviously we always check Discord and everything else as well. But if something bothers you, if you don't like something, or you want more of something, you need to tell us. So use the anonymous survey as your chance to do that. Um, Other than that, what else? There's so much more stuff I wanted to ask you about, like rule changes and how you thought they impacted the Imperial playstyle.
Hmm.
But man, you and I can just talk, can't we?
I was about to say we're just yapping all day.
Yeah,
That's you and me at this point.
sure is. Well, I guess we're going to go ahead and start wrapping things up. I'm going to thank our Patreon sponsors. If you would like to join the ranks of these wonderful people who make this event possible, please head on over to patreon.com/galactic-civil-war and consider donating. These people on screen being Big Burst, Joseph Jacobson, Daniel Corral, Greg Larson, John Pierce II, Ken Primavera, Odo Tadana, Athens Mylan, Kian Shea, Dakota R. Reynolds, Siegebreaker 94, and Matthew House. And this list may be out of date. There may be some more names that need to add on to here. Please consider joining them, and thank you to these people so much. It is because of our Patreon donators we were able to actually get that really cool hover cart that we used for the Imperial cargo missions, and that Chris spent a very tireless 3 days. It's all the time he had to make it look as swarzy as he could, and he did a fantastic job. So it is. Oh, you're muted. They can't hear you when I'm on the Patreon page. Sorry, Dax. Yeah, sorry. So if you would like to consider joining these people and helping us get more cool props like that, more cool missions, and more cool stuff for you, because this money does not go to me, it does not go to the podcast, it goes to the Galactic Civil War events, please do so. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for being you.